By the 1970s, the Chicano civil rights movement, known as El Movimiento, had spread throughout the land. Leaders like Cesar Chavez, Corky Gonzalez, Dolores Huerta, and Reyes López Tijerina became national figures. In Colorado, Pueblo became a focal point. Organizations like the Brown Berets, El Partido La Raza Unida, Casa Verde Mothers, and La Gente began to organize. Several Chicano newspapers, including La Cucaracha, began reporting the issues of the day from a Chicano perspective. Activities included a march to Denver during the summer of 1970, organized by El Partido La Raza Unida in support of the United Farm Workers. School walkouts protested the lack of Chicano teachers, Chicano history classes, and alarmingly high school dropout rates. It was in this hotbed of Chicano activism that the seeds for economic development in the Chicano community were sown.
Corky Gonzalez is an example. He was considered a militant. However, Corky stressed education. He stressed the idea of developing businesses, etc. So, he played a very, very important part. So we have different phases. Right now, we're in a phase, business phase, and the Latino Chamber of Commerce is very, very important in developing this phase.
And that to me, that the whole Chicano movement was all about. Was being able to start, go through our educational system, survive it, become proactive, get educated, get your money, hopefully become a business person, become wealthy, and come back to the community.
The Chicano movement had a great, in my opinion, effect on why this organization had to come to existence.
In August of 1979, the Latino Chamber of Commerce of Pueblo was founded. The new organization had fewer than 20 members and was located in the Bessemer district of the city, in a building that has since been bulldozed to make room for this parking lot. Even before there was a Latino Chamber of Commerce, there were earlier efforts to help the minority businesses in Pueblo.
Pueblo was not a city that was friendly to minorities.
Back in the early 70s, you didn't see many attorneys in Pueblo. You didn't see anybody on bank boards.
The Latino Chamber didn't exist, so
I was fortunate enough to know people like Albino Cordova, Carla Barella. They started two real interesting organizations.
I was a business partner with Albino Cordova, who started a little group called Fondo San Isidro. And it was a group that was going to take contributions from people and take that money, loan it out to small businesses that were starting up and help those businesses get on their feet. He was a teacher. He had taught Spanish and could not get a job in the local districts here. He went to Denver, got a job there, taught at two ghetto schools, Baker Junior High and Cole Junior High. Came back to Pueblo, ran for the school board, and could see the discrepancies in the quality of life. Here we go again, the quality of life, and wanted to make that better. We all want to make the quality of life better, but he had a real drive and a real dream to do that. We worked night and day, and it was unfortunate, but he died of cancer in 1990.
Was also involved in another group called the Spanish Economic Development Corporation, which really wanted to start a bank in Pueblo. And
we never got it off the ground, but we sure did make a hell of a try.
Obviously, the capitalization of a bank back then was so significant that it was a dream, but just not enough economic resources to come up with the reserves that you need to start a bank.
One of the reasons Latinos wanted to start a bank was because many of them had been denied business loans.
Down to Pueblo Bank and Trust and said I wanted to borrow about $40,000 to buy some dental equipment. And I showed him my pro forma and my business plan, and the business banker looked at it, he said, "Boy, I don't see it happening." So my dad says, "You know, I have a good friend I went to school with. His name is Arlo Beeman. He's the president of United Bank." So I went and saw Arnold Beeman, and he said, "Yeah," he says, "let me look at it." So he looked at it and says, "Here's my business banker. Her name is Marie O'Connor. She'll take care of you." Sure enough, they gave me the $40,000. I bought my equipment, and we're off and running.
It took me 3 years to finally get the Sombrero financed. And in these 3 years, like I was just saying, I had bought the place outright. I had made the parking. I'd already had my plans for the remodel, which I paid for myself. So when I went to the bank, I had all my ducks in a row. And I'm like, oh man, who's not going to take this? I mean, every year I've grown. We've made more money every year. And, who's not going to take this? What the banker tried to tell me is I didn't have enough cash flow for what I wanted to do. Every 3 months I would go to another bank and ask them to look at my stuff, and I didn't know if I was the wrong color or my hair was too long or what it was, but what happened is that finally a friend of mine approached me and he told me that he was moving to another bank to go see him. And the really funny thing about that situation was that he was able to give me an answer in a week and a half. And right now I have like in my Pueblo location, I have over 58 employees because I have a carry-out catering company around the block where I first started my 55-seater, where me and my brother first started nachos there. And I have my full-size restaurant here at the Sombrero. I seat 110.
When I left dental school, or I was completing dental school, we were advised that with a dental degree, you can pretty much walk into a bank and be assured of a loan to start your business. And that's what I expected, but unfortunately, that's not what occurred for me. When I came into this town, I approached numerous banks, and nobody was willing to take a chance on me. Even though I was asking for even 1/3 of what most of my colleagues were asking for coming out of dental school, I just had a difficult time getting a loan. A big turning point for me, business-wise, was a fellow that approached me and wanted to sell me a building, and his name was Al Gurley. And I told Al that I really didn't have those type of funds available, and he said, I can get a bank to help you possibly, and I think he probably had difficulties also. So he became my bank, and I was able to assume a note that was in arrears, but Al had to carry a significant amount of money. It was in the tens of thousands of dollars for me. We never signed a contract. He figured a certain amount that I would have to pay. He only told me to make an effort and to try to pay him. And as a matter of fact, he didn't charge interest on it. And so it was probably double the amount of money that the bank was willing to lend me when I started.
CEDA, the Colorado Economic Development Association, was one of the predecessors of the Latino Chamber. Isabel Saffold was the group's first employee.
Community, the business professionals, and seeking instructors. So I needed accountants, I needed bankers, I needed real estate people, I needed bonding and insurance people. So I went out in the community and found them. And we'd have different classes. The banker would say, what I need for you to bring to me when you're asking for a loan is this, and this.
Isabel hired Joe P. Roybal, an experienced loan officer, to help with the presentations.
Joe Roybal came into my office one day. I hadn't even started hiring, and he said, I need a job. And he says, I'll work for you free for 1 month, and if I'm worth my salt, then you can pay me. I couldn't do that. And he was so easy to be around. He was so easy to be around and always showed up. And he always wore a suit and tie.
When CEDA was replaced by NEDA, the National Economic Development Association,
I don't think so.
Isabel went to work in the private sector.
Instrumental.
Royval became the Pueblo head of NIDA and continued on the road to developing a Latino Chamber of Commerce.
We're involved with NIDA, also with the two principals in Latino Chamber of Commerce. Tony particularly, because Joe, passed away in early 1981 after Latino Chamber had just gotten on its feet, had been incorporated a couple of years. He died of a heart attack at about 58 years of age. So then it was Tony basically thereafter.
I went about setting up an interim steering committee to form the chamber. And I was able to get Joe Labari, who was an attorney in private practice, Alfredo Magallanes. I got Dr. Tom Arabi, dentist, Dr. Tomas Duran, dentist, Carl Aguilera, he was a pharmacist, J. Frank Cordova, who was a civil engineer, Phil Gallegos, architect, and Joe and myself. And around August of '79, we then incorporated, at that time, the Pueblo Chamber, of course, did not have any minority members on the board of directors.
On Sundays, I would read the Chieftain, and I would see where the Pueblo Chamber of Commerce had recognized a new business, had invited them to join the new business as a new business. And I thought, wow, after about a year, I thought, boy, I've never been recognized or by the Pueblo Chamber, or I've never been invited to join the Pueblo Chamber.
They didn't feel there was a need. They felt that the Chamber of Commerce was fulfilling all the needs of the business community and didn't really see a need. They couldn't understand that there were some holes there where smaller businesses that were owned by Latinos were not being even approached by the greater Chamber of Commerce to participate.
Another reason to have an organization that would recognize the small business.
One of the initial thoughts about forming the chamber was what to name the chamber. Hispanic was kind of a new term coming out.
There was a lot of discussion at that time about what we would call ourselves.
I just never liked the Mexican-American thing. Just didn't like it.
We used to call ourselves different names, Spanish Americans, Mexican Americans. Chicano was pretty prevalent in those particular days.
And some people thought Chicano was too radical yet.
And Chicano was too radical for me.
So we settled on this compromise of Latino as opposed to conservative, Hispanic, and Chicano being too radical.
Latino was the name that really stood out there for everyone.
So that's how the name Latino Chamber came to be.
In September of 1980, the Latino Chamber asked the Pueblo City Council for $35,000 to promote minority and small businesses. The request was equal to the level of funding the Pueblo Chamber of Commerce had received from the city that year. According to a report in La Cucaracha newspaper, Latino Chamber President Victor Navarro told council members, "Many people in the community feel that the Pueblo Chamber is not addressing their needs. Minority businessmen don't feel they can turn to the Pueblo Chamber for assistance." Navarro said the goals of the Latino Chamber were clear: to contribute to the growth and the progress of the minority business community in Pueblo County, and to improve the ability of minority-owned businesses to share fully in the free enterprise system. It will help establish new businesses, assist in the growth of the existing minority-owned businesses, and promote economic development of the minority community.
I think the Pueblo Chamber thought we were going to kind of fade away. We didn't. We kept doing what we were going to do, and we emphasized the fact that we weren't trying to replace the Pueblo Chamber in any way. We were trying to meet a specific need in the community.
The Latino Chamber's request for funding was ignored. Also, in 1980, when the city proposed a $23 million downtown urban renewal project in Pueblo, the Latino Chamber was one of the several groups to file complaints against federal funding for the project without more representative use of minority contractors in the construction and other phases of the project. The City Council reacted indirectly to the Latino Chamber's objections by appropriating $40,000 for local minority economic development administered through the city manager's office.
One here called the Pueblo Minority Economic Development Corporation, out of which they brought me over and had me work specifically on putting these loans together for minority business people. And we ended up doing about close to 6-7 loans that totaled almost close to $5 million and hired an additional 100, 200 people.
We started hosting monthly luncheons so that people could network. We started having business development seminars, things of that nature.
As a small business starting up, I mean, the networking and marketing and getting to know people in the community was pretty crucial. I mean,
you know, we had a lot of discussion on how to grow the Latino Chamber of Commerce of Pueblo. And certainly the chamber had Hispanic business people that became members, and it was easier to recruit them. But when you look at these so-called establishment businesses and employers here in Pueblo, it was much more difficult. I think that from the very outset, they felt that the Latino Chamber was our thing, and they had no place in our thing.
According to Ulibarri, City Councilman Steve Martinez was instrumental in breaking the ice with one of Pueblo's hospitals.
At that time, the St. Mary Corwin Hospital was the #1 hospital in the community, and we were servicing a lot of Latino folks. And I didn't have too much trouble convincing the CEO of the hospital at the time that I thought it was important in terms of continued dialogue with the Latino community to be a member of the Latino Chamber.
It was the beginning of a campaign that would see some of the city's largest employers join the Latino Chamber.
We were able to go then to the competing hospital in Pueblo, Parkview Hospital. At that time, Michael Pugh, I think, was the CEO, and told Michael, how come this institution, which serves a lot of Hispanics, as yours does, joins us and you do not? Do you have anything against us? And basically approached him in that way, and he said we'd be glad to join. And we used that quite effectively.
After the hospitals, the focus shifted to the banks because, as Ulibarri paraphrased bank robber Willie Sutton, that's where the money is. Solid relationships with banks were seen as essential ingredients for economic development. Ulibarri describes the approach that worked.
The approach that we took with the banks was through a different avenue, and it was with a federal law that existed at that time, and this act was called the Community Redevelopment Act. And the act required that banks, being federally chartered, had to extend their services out to the entire community, not just the affluent communities of a city. It also required that the banks develop an annual CDC report. And this report basically would tell the public exactly how many loans they had made in different areas of the community and how they were serving the entire community. We asked to see the report, and the first question, they were very apprehensive at first, but the first question was, why do you want to see the report? We serve all members of the community, and we told them we were with the Latino Chamber of Commerce, and our particular interest was with the Hispanic community of Pueblo, and we wanted to see if banks were serving that Latino chamber, that Latino community. We asked them from then if they would care to join the Latino Chamber of Commerce to prove that they were serving all members of the community, and they took to that, and we would tell these banks that the other banks had been joining us, and gradually all of the banks started falling in line after that. They didn't want to be left out.
All of a sudden it seemed like they had an influx of businesses that just wanted to be part of the Latino for whatever reason. Every month we'd go to the meeting, we'd have the new members given their plaques or whatever, the Latino plaques, and you would see everybody in the community wanted to be a part of the Latino Chamber because they were so visible.
1989 and about 1992, that number went from 60 to about 325. It just exploded.
I mean, we've actually reached the point of 1,000 members at one point. And right now we're sitting at about 850. But that's not completely representative companies. The companies that are represented here is close to 600 now.
I would like to introduce Gary Miller. He is the president of the Country Club Board of Directors.
First of all, thank you very much for being here. I don't know that the Latino Chamber has ever been here before, but it's about dang time. Thank you.
Because of the increase in membership, we were able to hire a full-time executive director. And that's what really changed the Latino Chamber, I think, forever. I think our first director was a lady named Rita De Herrera. She was there for a short period of time, and then Andrea Aragon was hired, and she was there for a number of years, really changed the image of the organization in a very positive way, And then Sandy took over when Andrea found another job.
With membership growing and a full-time staff in place, it was time to begin looking for a permanent home.
The acquisition of a building was very, very important.
I remember a meeting in the office of a bank in Sunset Plaza. We used to meet there, so we didn't have a permanent structure.
Like maybe we'd be in one office for 3 months or 6 months, and then we'd be moving around. And I made the argument at the time that we weren't going to be respected until we had a headquarters, and that was going to give us some credibility. We found this building on Victoria Street, and I put some money down on it to hold it. While I pitched my argument to the membership to buy the building and renovate it. And we did buy the building. We moved in there because a lot of the members were down there on weekends painting and just kind of cleaning it up because it was an old union hall.
But it was just a shell. The building was just a shell, and it needed a lot of work done. It had to be cleaned out. We piled a bunch of stuff in the back room.
So it gave us a sense of family. We were striving for something.
But those were some really good memories. We were a very close-knit group with Elle and Andrea and Caroline. We had a lot of fun, and we were getting things done.
I was able to talk the board into allowing us to go out and borrow some money to renovate the building, and we did that. We renovated the building. At the time that I was talking to the board and telling them, what could happen if we developed some business offices, it would help us cultivate small businesses, and it would also generate money to offset the debt service. And when you look at the chamber today, that's exactly what's happening. And so it's been like a dream come true. The acquisition of the building, helping small businesses develop, and generating money to offset the construction and renovation of the building.
The second decade of the Latino Chamber was marked with continued growth and greater visibility in the community. Some endeavors took on a life of their own. The Pueblo Hispanic Education Foundation was one of the first organizations to spin off from the Chamber.
And that's where Ray Aguilera and his family donated. I think Ray tells me the story that he was the original founder, and he tells me the story that his mother Rose, provided the first $2,000 to the foundation to get that going. And the rest is kind of history with PHEF. It's still a viable organization. It's given a lot of kids a chance, a start to get into college.
We came up with the idea, we had a couple of attorneys on the board at that time, myself and Patrick Garcia, that we would spin off the education committee of the Latino Chamber and create a new entity that would be a 501c3 entity, charitable educational entity, and it would do solely those things that would fall within the parameters of the charitable educational organization. They've raised over $2 million since their inception of the organization.
Another early initiative was the creation of Latino Chamber's Lifetime Achievement Award and Wall of Fame at Colorado State University at Pueblo.
A few years ago, Dennis Flores was talking about a Hall of Fame here in Pueblo. And he mentioned during one of our meetings that there are no Hispanics, not one. And I couldn't believe that. And so I, along with the help of a couple other members, started talking about creating our own, the Chamber's own version of the Hall of Fame. And so I was instrumental in helping to launch that. And since then, we have had numerous well-known participants of this community, Hispanic community, get inducted. The first was Henry Reyes. And it's because I believe so much in Henry Reyes that when I learned that Henry was not on that wall, I knew that there was something wrong with this community. And if there wasn't representation of those Hispanics, those outstanding Hispanics who laid the foundation for many of us, then something had to be done.
It's great. Do you know what? I went in to Taco Stop, which is a Mexican restaurant right down here on 4th Street, a small business. And they have really good food, by the way. One of the ladies that works in there, I see her all the time. She says, I saw your picture at the university. She said, I couldn't believe. I know that lady. She comes into our place all the time. I couldn't have felt better about something like that. That really meant a lot to me.
In 2011, renowned artist John Mendoza was the 10th individual added to the Latino Chamber Foundation's Wall of Fame. Several hundred community leaders came out to help Mendoza celebrate his lifetime of achievement.
I wish you all the best in the years to come. Sincerely, Joe Garcia, Lieutenant Governor.
So therefore, we, the City Council, my constituents, and the County Commissioners do declare today to be John L. Mendoza Day in the City of Pueblo.
I would like to dedicate this honor to my mother and father.
Felt that all of our we should engage the art community, and we started giving all of our members a lithograph. John Mendoza was our first artist in creating our first lithograph. And you see the Latino Chamber lithographs all over the community because they're treasured, and I think it's another way that we've been able to help the community in telling everyone how important the arts are too, whether it's drama, whether it's painting, music, that type of thing. During this period, we also started the Grand Fiesta at the State Fairgrounds, thinking that the Hispanic community needed more of a presence. It was the Fiesta Days were evolving, the Fiesta Day Parade. We wanted to have some sort of a presence there with our legislators and the Hispanic legislators that were trying to help the state. And it's still a tradition that goes on to this day.
Like a hot potato, the annual tostada was tossed unceremoniously from the Pueblo Chicano Democratic Caucus into the lap of the Latino Chamber, where it has come to be known as the Joe T. Ulibarri Tostada. In the past 20 years, the honorees have included Sheriff Dan Cosentino, State Representative Dorothy Butcher, County Commissioner Anthony Nunez, Police Chief Ruben Archuleta, Chicano wannabe Jack Quinn, Chief District Judge Dennis Mays, and social columnist Sandy Stein. In 2011, the honoree was Lieutenant Governor Joe Garcia.
Brother John Bino tonight with the traditional, irreverent Father John Bino prayer in only the way that John could give it. Well, let's remain seated, Christians with bowed heads, and you heathens out there can just sit there and smirk. And perhaps the greatest miracle of all, you alone, God, have the power to grow hair on Joe Garcia's State House dome head so that he doesn't resemble a Van Dyke Chicano version of television's Montel Williams. Amen, and let's eat.
It is really, I tell you, so great to be here in a town I probably never should have left. I mean, Pueblo is an exceptional place. You know, from the first day I arrived, Pueblo welcomed me. It wrapped its collective arms around me and made me feel like I was part of a family. A big, crazy, dysfunctional family. The kind of family that has a couple of old, drunk uncles sitting in their underwear on the front porch yelling at the kids. I'm sorry, that's Bob Rawlings and the judge here.
Recognizing that the youth are the future, the Latino Chamber has developed initiatives to involve young people in its activities.
There's such a huge need to make sure that we're developing and fostering that next generation of entrepreneurs in our community. And the Junior Latino Chamber program provides that opportunity for us to do it.
Where we get so many kids from the junior high schools and we invite them out to come and check out our luncheons just to see what goes on, to maybe give them a chance to see that, hey, you know, I can do that, or I'd like to do that.
What we tie into that is also a work experience. So what they're responsible to do with this program is to show up on time, come ready to work, come with a game face, and I tell them that all the time. Show up with your game face, because when you go to work, that's what you have to do.
The Latino Chamber, to be sure, had a big impact because we became a venue and a forum for some people to develop the notoriety and the standing to be able to be strong candidates for public office. And then we talked to Steve Martinez into running for city council.
I beat the incumbent, Tom Gilmore, back then. They were important as well. I mean, to identify people that they felt were candidates that might win an election. And I think they still play a role today. I don't know what.
After the November 1993 elections, Pueblo chieftain, managing editor, and columnist Len Gregory took note of the Latino Chamber's political successes. Quote, "Meanwhile, the newest machine in Pueblo politics, the Latino Chamber of Commerce, can take pride in its efforts to develop and encourage quality minority candidates for the office. Finally, after far too long a time without an Hispanic member, City Council once again will have that critical ethnic component contributing to its chemistry. Same for the Water Board, and the School District 60, which is losing one veteran Hispanic from its board, will welcome his replacement, a respected Hispanic member of the local business community. The Latino Chamber is on a real roll, making vital contributions in business, education, and politics. The energy is contagious. Stand back and admire the young lions at work. They obviously know what they're doing."
We've had people elected to the Pueblo Board of Waterworks, City Council, county commissioners, you name it.
More recently, candidates for political office have beat a path to the Latino Chamber's Candidates Forum to ask for support.
I am your candidate.
We're survivors.
I hope I can count on your vote. I'm your candidate for District 4.
I just would really appreciate your support.
I would really like to see all of you help out.
I want you to vote for me.
I would appreciate your support.
I'm running unopposed, so if I lose, it'll be really depressing.
With the Latino Chamber's political clout came opportunities to appoint Hispanics to key positions in the community, including Pueblo's first Hispanic judge and chief of police.
How I became a municipal judge was that Steve Martinez, who was on city council at that time. Steve is the one that asked why I didn't apply for this position for a part-time municipal judge position in the city. There was never a Hispanic judge at any level, county judge, district judge, or municipal judge in the history of Pueblo. This was the 70s now. And on a majority vote, I was then appointed as the part-time municipal judge for the city of Pueblo, and that would have been in 1979. That was the first Hispanic judge in the history of Pueblo County. I then applied for the full-time position as municipal judge for the city of Pueblo, presiding judge, and I got that position. So I was then a full-time judge in Pueblo. Soon after that, other vacancies occurred in the county judgeship area, and as I recall, we had Alex Martinez apply, and he was then appointed the first county judge for the county of Pueblo and the second Hispanic judge in the county of Pueblo. Thereafter, a vacancy occurred a few years later in the district court level, and Dennis Mays then applied for that position, and we were able to get Dennis in there as a district judge. And we've had several since that time, so it's been a real success story.
I was on city council, Pat Avalos was on city council when we were able to get Ruben Archuleta to become chief of police. If we didn't have the muscle of the Latino Chamber behind us, I don't think that would have ever happened.
None, I was the first Hispanic chief. And if it hadn't been for the Latino Chamber, I think I wouldn't have lasted on the police department. And again, my thanks go to Pat Avalos and Al Goulet because they stuck up for me, and also the Chamber backed me up.
The Chamber's really become much bigger than that. It's become a symbol in our community of the economic and political power that the Hispanic community has.
The Latino Chamber's political influence has spread far beyond Pueblo. It has been well represented at the national level for many years.
We should be very, very proud of the fact that this small Latino chamber in a small community has, basically gotten national recognition.
It's such a presence, but not just in Pueblo. And we've become an organization that people look to for leadership, and they look to for answers to help solve problems.
She's working with the big boys on projects that could help the Hispanic business community in the city of Pueblo.
We're having one-on-one conversations with people at the highest levels that make those critical decisions to make sure that it happens.
In recent years, 2 Puebloans have served on the U.S. Hispanic Chamber Board of Directors.
And I was able to get elected back in Philadelphia and to be able to serve as a member of Region 2. There are 6 regions, 4 members, so there are a total of 24 national board members. So it's very prestigious for me. Up until last year, I actually was able to rise to chair Region 2, representing 9 states.
Well, I had an opportunity to serve on the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce's Board of Directors for 4 years.
I think that it's important for all organizations to work together. And the Latino Chamber and Greater Chamber, everybody asks, why do we need 2 chambers? Well, the Greater Chamber is about tourism. We're about small business and, small business development here in Pueblo.
I've seen it where they work together on different projects and things like that, and they're not in competition with each other.
One of the first big meetings that we had was a meeting with their board of directors, the Latino Chamber Board and the Pueblo Board. That was in 1994. It would have been in June of '94. We interact, I think, very well. Sandy and I communicate with each other. I'm going to, next week, I'm going to breakfast with her. She has the Pinnacle Insurance people in town, which do their safety group, and we're going to, she invited me to come and have breakfast with them. There's plenty of work out there for 2 business-driven organizations to do, and without us getting in each other's way, but there's a lot of opportunities to improve the community when we join forces, and I think we've done that.
One of the key components that I always tell people is, we want to make sure that we are your voice, the voice of small businesses for our community. When we have those opportunities to advocate, whether it's at a local, state, or national level, we're going to do so because that's what we are an organization, that's what we stand for. We have numerous programs, organizations that we've partnered with in order to make sure that we provide a benefit to businesses. One of them is our Workman's Comp program, which is a partnership between Hub International, Centennial Insurance, the Chamber, as well as Pinnacle Assurance. The other is American Dental and Vision program. And the third, really the major one that we highlight, is Health Access Pueblo.
We have one individual in our business that focuses on safety, and as a result, we've been able to get refunds at the end of the year because we maintain a safe environment. Nobody wants to be hurt. Everybody wants to have a safe and clean environment, and Pinnacle has helped cultivate and develop that in my business. And
all you have to do is look around you now. Take a look at the boards, take a look at city council, the commissioners, and all the different companies, and you see a lot of women in those positions, you see a lot of minorities in those positions, and so things have changed, and a lot of credit has to be given to the Latino Chamber.
You're not in business for 32 years without the help of somebody. And
people look to them now as a leader in the business community, where I can go and get some information that I need to do whatever I'm going to do with my business, whether it's starting up from scratch or expanding it.
When you go out and meet people in the public and you know who they are and what they do, and you let them see who you are, and that helps out business. And it's that networking thing, and that helped my business quite a bit. It did.
We have great benefits and services, but what can we bring to the table that will bring some new members to our organization as well? So that'll be our biggest challenge, I think.
The reality is we've got a lot of work to do still. While we've made a lot of gains in our minority community, whether it's education, economic development, anything, we have a lot of work to do still.
And we're still highest female heads of household right now. I think Pueblo County has, for the state, one of the highest areas of female household. Poverty, greater poverty. A lot of statistics came out showing that the Hispanic community had lost wages in reference to the cost of living index. We're lower than when we were 5-6 years ago.
Why are the Hispanic and the Black populations of our prisons so high? Isn't that a red flag to anybody?
This organization provided that venue by which we can break down those barriers. And had this organization not come to fruition to be able to do that, we would still be looking at having underrepresentation in all of those areas. Would we have made gains? Absolutely, but not like we have. But I'm going to just continue to reiterate, we still have a lot of work to do.
In 3 decades, the Latino Chamber membership has grown to more than 800. Members include most of Pueblo's largest employers and many smaller minority-owned businesses. Though there have been measurable advances in almost every sector and strata of the community, as a group, Hispanics are at the lower end of the socio-economic ladder. As the generation that founded the Latino Chamber reaches retirement age, there is a greater need than ever for a new generation of visionaries to take the field.
When you look at the foundation that's been laid by so many through the Latino Chamber and in this community, my generation has so many opportunities in this community going forward. And I think now we're at the part where we need to start recognizing that individuals who are born and raised here or who are coming into this community, they have a place, they have a part, and there is something of an opportunity for them to act upon. Now it's about moving forward. It's about building on that foundation that was laid. And that's the most exciting part, to really be a part of that.